Let's get started with our next keynote. Today we have with us Yosi Shavit. He will be talking about a fascinating topic, which is basically the hazardous materials and cyber regulation. He has developed, working with his team, a new cyber regulation, and he's basically, sharing kindly this approach, this insight with the global community. Welcome aboard, Yosi. Long time no see.
Yes. Hi, Jose. How are you?
Well, not too bad. To be quite honest, I very much enjoyed the previous session, talking about, are we doing enough to secure critical transportation infrastructure? I think I learned a lot. So thank you for helping us, in educating the global community. Right now, the topic is hazardous materials and cyber regulation. So you know the process. So you are the expert on this. So I'm just gonna, mute my mic, stop my video, and learn.
Okay, I hope you can see my presentation.
Yeah, I can see your PowerPoint right now. You just need to share that. That's it. Okay, perfect.
Well, thank you. Thank you again, Jose, and the Global Cybersecurity Observatory for inviting me to this session. Today, I will talk about very new topic, very new in our regulation, the transportation cybersecurity, and I will talk about trucks carrying hazardous materials. A little bit about me, mechanical engineer, MBA, and some international certificates from ISACA, international organization. I'm also mentoring the cybersecurity program in Africa, which is called the OCMP, lecturing the academic track in Israel, and over 25 years experience, hands-on methodology, and all kinds of things in IT or in OT. So it's not about me, it's about government decision, which made the Israel government decision made several in 2015, two decisions 2443 and 2444, and we established the cybersecurity department in the Ministry of Environmental Protection in order to give protection to the hazard industry. And based on these two decisions, the law on the national cyber defense of the state of Israel is being developed, just to know. In my department, ICS Cybersecurity Department, we have some roles. We are dealing with OT, especially with OT, operation technology. We're expert in IT technology as well. We're dealing with physical security, like access control, like cameras, detectors, and the most important thing, the human resources. We're talking about awareness and also reliability. That disgruntled the employee got the physical access, low physical access, and a lot of motivation. And in our unit, we give the frame. We are writing methodology, doing some exchange information between the factories, monitoring and enforce compliance of the regulations, and many other things. And our goal, the main goal, is to increase the cyber resilience. We can't eliminate 100%, but we can increase the resilience, including trucks carrying hazardous materials. We have more than 4,000 businesses under regulation. You can see the list, long list. Start with the hazardous materials industry through water corporation, Israel Electric Company, ports, seaports, airports, pharmaceutical industry, the pesticide industry, hospitals, semiconductors, defense industry, and trucks carrying hazardous materials as well. The common of all these businesses, all of them cause hazardous materials in their plants and get toxin permits. So the two important news for the Israeli hazmat industry, new cyber regulation and new ICS cyber methodology. As I told before, it's the first one, as much as I know in the world, the only one for this sector. Let's talk about the regulation a little bit. The main regulatory tool that we have to enforce cyber is the toxin permit. We impose the regulation by the toxin permit. We divide the factories, including the fleets of trucks, into three groups, A, B, and C. Group A gets renewal every 1 year. We have about 400 factories. It includes the trucks. The trucks in A group, you must know that. And we just based with this toxin permit based on the National Hazardous Materials Law since 1993. So this methodology is developed from a lot of very deep hard work in the factories in Israel. I went day by day to about more than 10 plants just to do cyber risk assessment and to build the methodology with them, with the IT and staff. And of course, I also took some knowledge from the NIST CSF. I trust the 5 cyber security function in the NIST framework. You can all download this cyber guide from our site. It's here down for free. You can use it. You can ask questions. I'm here for you. So what is the hell, the connection between trucks carrying hazardous materials and cybersecurity? So with many kinds of materials which we transport the roads, like hydrogen, for example, gasoline, alkyl acid phosphate, and many others. And the materials that we allow in Israel that are allowed to carry, we have 9 classes. 9 classes. We started with class 1 is explosives. It can trigger an explosion with blasting agent or detonating device. Class 2, we have gases in class 2, some of them flammable gas, some of them compressed gas, and others toxic gas, considered as toxic gas like ammonia, for example. Class 3 is flammable liquids. It includes fuel, diesel, gasoline, kerosene, and many other very bad materials. Class 4, we're talking about flammable solid, that spontaneously combustible material. Class 5, oxidizer. Oxidizer, they spark or enhance the combustion, and they can start explosion very easy. Class 6, we have the toxic materials and infection substances, very dangerous to the public, to public health. We're talking about poison and biological materials. Class 7, radioactive materials. Class 8, corrosive. And class 9, miscellaneous dangerous goods, many other bad materials. For example, lithium batteries. Actually, we talk about good materials, but bad for public health and for the environment. So let's see the risk. First, let's see the security hole in vehicles. So we have, as you know, between 60 and 150 electronic control unit ECUs. Every one of them is a little computer, and they all connected in one flat network canvas. If we see flat network in the industry, we're very worried about it, and we ask the factory to separate network from OT and IT, but here you can see that you have flat network, the canvas network. And you have connectivity to the world as well. You have the smartphone, you have the GPS, you have some other connectivity device in the car. And many cars have also connectivity to vehicle fleets. If we're talking about trucks, so in trucks, we have some additional connectivity. We extend the text surface in trucks because we put many sensors, many new sensors in the car. We have a sensor to monitor, for example, sharp turns. If the driver is just driving very, very fast and not be careful. Sensor for monitoring sudden braking. Sensor to monitor, for example, open door while driving. So some drivers do it. Detection and identification in the case of thefts. So we have some sensors. We have sensor for detecting hazardous substances that flow or leak from the truck. And we have sensors to monitor the filling and emptying. And all these sensors is communicate outside to the world, to the cloud, to the fleet. And all of these sensors increase the surface of exposure to cyber attack against those flags. The main two attack vectors, as I can see, the first one is vehicle fleet information system. If you break to the vehicle fleet information system, to the IT actually, you can take control over the vehicle itself. But you can also attack the vehicle itself directly, because all of the connectivity sensor that we talked before. And the risk, if you control this kind of trucks, these kinds of trucks, you can have damage to the vehicle and passengers by taking over and performing. You can take over the control on the wheel and or sudden braking or steering wheel of the vehicle and just make this truck roll over the road. You can change the route of travel by attacking GPS. We call it GNSS attack. It's very easy to do it. You buy some transmitter device for maybe 20 euro. That's it. You can cause the truck to turn in a wrong place and possibly get off the road to dangerous place where it can roll over, of course. And theft, if you theft of truck and wrong use of the hazardous materials, very dangerous for the environment, for the public health. The main scenario that we see from cyber attack over trucks, first of all, the dispersion of toxins, if we're talking about gas or liquid, and we measure it with ppm units. ppm, part per million. How many parts of gas, of toxin gas in the air from a million regular parts? The second is the effect of burning flammable materials. We measure it in kilowatts per square meter, and I show later how we can measure it actually to know the risk. And the third one is explosion effect. Of course, we measure it in pressure units, PSI, or bar unit. We use the PAC criteria. PAC is protective action criteria. We adopted actually from the United States. It's methodology for evaluation of potential hazards to human life. PAC 1 is potential for dispersal of hazardous material accompanied by reversible public health impact. But PAC 2 is irreversible damage to public health. And if we talk about part 3, it's fatal impact. People actually dying from cyber attack. You can see it here on the right side. It's okay. I will show it in the next slide. How to measure it. So the impact. We have, for example, ammonia trucks with about 20-25 tons of ammonia. If we look at the diamond, at the NFPA diamond from the Camel chemical side, you can see that it's number 3. From 4, it's very high. It can cause serious or permanent injury to public. It's actually it's poison material. If we're talking about gasoline, the trucks carry about 11,000 gallons. We can see in the NFPA diamond flammability. Flammability, it's very flammable material, and we can get heat radiation and smoking, air pollution. It's very dangerous for public health. LPG, for example, liquefied petroleum gas, the trucks carry about 43,000 tons. You can see here the flammability is very high, 4. And we can get explosion. Get explosion in public areas. Hydrogen, talking about 25,000 liters of hydrogen in trucks, flammability. If you mix homogeneous mixture of hydrogen with the air, with oxygen, actually, you have actually explosion. How are we going to measure these impacts? So it's not so complicated. We use actually the PAC software, Aloha software. You can download it for free. I use the Aloha 5.4.7. You have to put some input in this software, like atmospheric condition, location, shape of the container, dimension, spreading algorithm. It depends what kind of gas. If you have Gaussian dispersion, or you have heavy gas dispersion, and you can export the results of recommended separation distance to a map. You can do it in Matplotlib, and you can do it in also in Google Earth. And you see here, you can see the separation distances. The red one, the red circle, is PAC 3. Remember, PAC 3, we're talking about fatal damage. People are dying here in this area. The orange area, PAC 2, irreversible damage to public health, and the yellow is damage but reversible. This is one of the places in Israel that I check it for very particular material, and you can see here the radius of area that you can damage public health. The Aloha software can also calculate. We can also calculate radiation from fire. Remember, we measure it in kilowatt square meter, and we can calculate blast intensity from explosion as well. So we can calculate. You can see here in Google Map, you can see the range. Here is this is place in Israel, and you can see here the radiuses. The red one, the orange, and the yellow. It's in the area of Haifa. So how we gonna do? How we can calculate the risk? This is the methodology. First, we have to calculate the impact. We calculated, as I said before, we calculated in terms of pressure, of explosion, of poison gas, and burning. And we also have to calculate the probability the surface tech actually in order to get calculation for the risk. These two Excel sheet we develop in very deep field work, and when you calculate the impact and you calculate the probability, you get number between 1 to 4 for each. You can put them both in this equation. The equation, we got this equation we adopted from INCD, the Israel National Cyber Directorate. We also experienced this equation, and you can get the risk level. When you know the risk level, it can be between 4 to 16. You know what kind of controls you have to implement on this plant or this truck. That's how we calculate. This is the regulation that we have now, the methodology that we have now, and what our next move. So what we have done about it so far. So we met with 9-car cybersecurity startup in order to understand the threats and the solutions of cars, of vehicles. We met with 3 telematics companies in Israel, and very soon we are going to meet 3 vehicle fleets company that all of them get toxin permit from us in level A. And then in the next stage, we will develop the methodology. We have to change a little bit the methodology that we have now for the vehicle risk. And then we plan to pilot one of the vehicle fleets that receive the toxin permit. And then we have to, of course, forward it to public comments in Israel, because we want to issue cyber guide and to impose regulation. So it's not so easy. It's a long process. It takes time. I hope it will take 6 or 8 months from now. This is how the new cyber guide will be. We'll publish it, of course, to the public, discuss it with other experts. That's it. As a result of all this action, we're going to increase the resilience of the truck carrying the truck in high level protection. Of course, you can call me. You can write me, and we can discuss these things, and I can answer any questions that you have now.
Thank you very much, Yosi, for this very interesting presentation, and also for this initiative. I think you guys are taking this extremely seriously. Yeah, there are a couple of questions from the audience.
I see some questions here in the chat.
Yeah, how can we get access to cyber regulation information? That's one question. I mean, we are about to publish. I think it's going to be ready. You know, the document you provided. So we are about to publish that. I think our content manager is gonna be publishing that next week. You know, and the other question is: the presentation going to be available?
The answer is yes for both questions. Jose, no, I share everything, not only in Israel, all over the world. And I introduced this methodology in Europe, as well in Asia, Singapore, and Dubai. And I share everything is for free. And I think that Cyber Security Observatory going to publish it in their site. I hope so. It will be for the benefit of everybody. You always can call me, you can mail me, you have all the details here in every slide. Don't hesitate.
So Yosi, I can commit with you that the cyber regulation is going to be published next week, and also on the 24th we're launching the Cybersecurity Observatory APAC, so it's going to be included there too. Okay, So people are going to be able to download that from there. I mean, immediately after we finish this event tomorrow, when we have a fascinating session, actually a whole day of events involving companies from all around the planet, we're going to be, the focus is going to shift totally to the observatory APAC. And I promise you that this cyber regulation is going to be included there.
Next year in Madrid, I come with a physical copies of of the cyber guide. Promise, I bring 100 copies.
I really appreciate that, sir. I mean, I'm gonna be sure that on my next trip to Tel Aviv. Are you based in Tel Aviv, by the way?
Yes.
I'm gonna pay you a visit. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your contribution to both this session, your previous contributions to the observatory. You have been supporting us for quite a while of time, and we are super proud of that. I mean, we have had some of your colleagues in this event so far. We have guys from almost every organization in Israel. We have guys from the from the government, we have Nelta, from Israel Electric, from Veto perfectly, so many organizations, people who really know one thing or two about their stuff, really know their stuff super well. And I believe, and I really truly believe, we talk about a lot about awareness and information sharing. I am the school of thought that in this kind of issues we are facing right now, we were talking in the previous discussion about the digitalization of everything. Everything is smart right now. So in this kind of new trends that are substantially increasing the attack surface, it's very important to share what innovators are doing, what regulators are doing, what all the key stakeholders are doing in order to to basically face and those bunch of criminals out there are trying to wreak havoc in our societies. So we need to share, because also the criminals share. Okay, so just think about the dark web and all those nasty forums and things like that. So we need to share and we need to educate the community.
That's right. That's right. I think there are no countries in cyber. We have the good guys and the bad guys. That's it. And all the good guys all over the countries, all over the world, must work together and share the information and do protection together. We are the good guys against the bad guys. That's it. No countries here.
Yeah, I think that there is no excuse right now not to engage in these debates, because this again, I mean, the cyber challenges, are putting at risk, key activities, key processes in our society. So I think we need to actively involve in that. I mean, so yeah, I mean, I think this is the. I mean, I think that engaging people who really understand the issue, who have credibility on that, is very important, because at the end of the day, I couldn't speak about hazardous materials and because I am not educated on that. I don't know anything about that. I don't really fully understand the total implication. I might guess some of them, but having the guys like you, the guys we have had, all during this week, take the debate to a next level, where people really understand, from guys who have been involved in this process for decades. So thank you very much for that, sir.
I tell you, I spent 5 years in the factories to get all this knowledge. So I want to save you and all the audience that these 5 years, and to get all the information in these documents. That's the sharing thing. It's very important to share information.
Okay, babe. Thank you very much, Yosi. I appreciate it. Toda raba. Have a nice day. Stay around. Tomorrow we are going to have, a full day with a lot of keynotes. We are going to start with Elta, Esti Peshin at the beginning. I am sure Esti, the general manager for Elta. We are going to be talking about cyber ranges. We are going to be talking about US regulation US cyber regulation and the impact on European companies. So it's an interesting angle because we are going to be talking about in the EMEA track about that. And then in the afternoon in North America, Latin, we're going to be covering a lot of stuff. Malware hunting, using Python as attack weapon, cyber threat intelligence platform, state of the art, challenges in harnessing OSINT for hardware security, national level cybersecurity, the new era. Actually, it's going to be the guys from Israel Aerospace Industry speaking in the North American track. So we have an interesting agenda for tomorrow. So please stay with us. So thank you, sir.
I'll be there.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.